Guardians of the Traveler, welcome to a transmission from the Last City, where the lore of destiny unfolds before your very ears. I'm Sparky.
And I'm Winter.
And together we'll guide you through the depths of the universe, uncovering its hidden secrets and untold stories.
From the rise of the Guardians to the mystery of the darkness, join us on an epic journey through time and space.
Grab your ghosts,
strap on your favorite armor,
and charge your light.
Because you've just tuned in to Beyond the Tower, your premier podcast for all things Destiny lore.
Guardian? Eyes up, Guardian.
And we're up, we're good to go, we're running.
All right.
We're running.
We are running indeed.
Yes. Hi, Sparky.
Hello, Winter.
I'm gonna do a quick little shout out to everyone who joined in. We've got Dwucky and Raven and Tom all here on stream.
That is fair.
And if you guys are watching or listening to this later on, you can come follow over on Twitch and to join us along the journey as we go live.
Oh, I'm echoing a little?
He shouldn't be. It's probably coming through my mic.
Ooh.
There we go. That's better. Allegedly. Okay. But yeah, you guys can come follow over on Twitch and join us live. Maybe every Wednesday. I don't know. It's our first episode. We're playing it by ear.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we'll get there. We're joined by a little light, but he's in his bassinet behind me.
Oh.
Taking not a nap, just causing a ruckus. But yeah. All right.
He's just a little guy.
Just a little guy. Well, Sparky, what are we talking about today?
All right, well, today we are going to be talking about Cayde and Crow, because they're two pretty prominent figures at the end of that cutscene from the final mission of Season of the Wish. I will say we are probably going to start with their baser forms. Most likely we're going to be starting with Uldren, because I feel like Uldren has a big part to play in the main campaign of Destiny 1. And also Cayde-6 also has a big part to play in Destiny 1. And we may be going back a little ways ahead about Cayde's 1 through 5 and his journals a little later on, because that'll be around the time we talk about when the event happened of Uldren killing Cayde-6.
Heath.
So, for Uldren Sov, effectively, what we've got about this guy is that he was pretty much a decent dude in the beginning. He was not all that bad.
Not a bad guy at all.
His start of who he was as an Awoken all began in the Exodus Blue crash, the Exodus Green, I believe is what that ship was called. The one that was caught in a collision between the Witness and the Traveler in the Traveler's last-ditch attempt to cast out the Witness. In the first collapse. And that was what created the Distributary. It was that collision of light and dark with the people of the Exodus Green caught in the middle that created a sort of distortion in space-time that made a little spot for them to hang out and escape this plane of existence. So that's what created the Awoken. And Uldren and Mara were on that ship together, brother and sister, all the way back then.
They're old.
They're very old.
Yeah.
And
there were a crew of 900 people on that ship.
Yeah, there were a lot of people on that ship. But the thing about that ship and what later developed like the structure of the Awoken is it was mainly women and children. There were only a few men. So that sort of developed how the Awoken society would be structured, which is more of a matriarchy as opposed to a patriarchy.
That's fair.
But yeah, Uldren was pretty much devoted to his sister even at the beginning. Like, he was devoted to making sure that he was able to fulfill whatever Mara would need. And Mara was in this camp of people against, what's her name? There was this woman who was convinced that she was the creator of the distributary when in fact Mara was the creator of the distributary.
Yep.
And because they were rivals, there was another woman who you may know, Cayde, who took it upon herself to challenge Mara Sov to a duel. And this duel was not between her and Mara herself, it was between her and Mara's champion, which was Uldren.
Okay.
Alright. But yes, in the Infinite 2 lore page, it's in the last 3 paragraphs.
The Ido deduced that part?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. He's already chewing on crayons, pretty much. They make them edible now, it's great. Ido deduced who among the Queen's court would be a disguised Mara. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole thing that plays out here, and it's especially at this end part, we cannot put it all upon a single fight, Uldren said to the ancient vendetta bearer. Too much would be left to chance. Such an old grudge deserves to be tested well. I propose we fight with blade, rifle, and with 5th generation air superiority fighters. So, yeah, like he says, knife fighting, rifle fighting, and mock aerial combat.
Blood really did just say, may my knife chip and shatter.
Pretty much.
Infinite 3.
Indeed. So yes, the many scribes were troubled by this news, for they had given Cayde license to hunt and kill Mara Sov. If Cayde murdered a guest of the Queen under the scribes' remit, it would mean war and the end of the great Awoken push for space. So it was more that the scribes allowed Cayde to reign free in terms of her quest to seek out Mara and end her. And Uldren was just sort of caught in the middle. He was just kind of the guy that Mara was like, go fight her for me. And he was like, alright. And that's kind of Uldren's entire thing for most of his story arc is just, go do this thing for me. And he's like, always.
Yeah, he full blown just loyal and does everything he needs to do to protect his sister /
Pretty much.
I don't know. The complicated relationship they have.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, it's especially because the reason they have such a complicated connection, and that connection is literally tangible. Like they talk about it at the end of Season of the Wish, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But that connection they share, like a genuine, like tangible connection, and the reason why Mara can detect where he is, even though he's probably a reality away inside the Pale Heart. It really comes down to they were together as the collision was happening, so because of that, they're connected in a paracausal way.
Like twins.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very much like twins.
And then, if I can remember where it is, we can talk a little bit about things that happen afterwards. So then afterwards, after the events of the distributary happened, because the reason that this duel was really put in place is because, Cayde, she was sort of like the mad dog they let loose to make sure that Mara Sov would be detained, but she wasn't detained because Cayde lost. And then, later her and Mara kind of, and that was cool. And then afterwards, the woman who thought, I forget her name, I think it's Scylla. I think that's the name of her. Or Essila. One of the two. But she's convinced herself that she is the one that has created the distributary, that created that space rift, this little black hole pocket for them to have a safe space away from the solar system. It wasn't true. Mara was actually the one that created it. And so then they finally have that confrontation of Mara being like, I'm the one who created it, and I feel like we have a responsibility to go back to the Sol system and protect our home, our true home, not this pocket space that I made. And that's when Mara, Uldren, and a branch of the Awoken all flew out of the distributary and made their way to the reef. And now that we've gotten to that point, we can talk a little bit about the base campaign, because that's where we would be now in the timeline. So in the base campaign, Uldren, he our first meeting with him as a guardian, he's not very nice.
He's
not
kind of a
very
dick.
Yeah, he's not a very nice person.
Just kind of is like, you don't belong here, brother.
Yeah,
Without
pretty much.
brother.
Yeah, without the no, you're not my brother. Get out of here. But yeah, that was kind of how it went, and he basically said, "You wanna get into Black Garden? Get me the Eye of a Gate Lord." And you're like, okay.
Oh, all right. Let me go do that then.
But you probably, and he's like, but you probably won't, because it's too hard. It's too hard for a little baby guardian like yourself. And then you come back and you throw it at his feet, and he's like, oh.
He's like, oh, okay. This guy's not as tough as, or not as bad as he, or he's a pretty tough guy. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a thing that happened for sure. And then, if we want to go back a little bit, because we did cover Uldren's past before the timeline, we can talk a little bit about Cayde's past before the timeline, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Bits and pieces.
So, Cayde's past before the timeline, he had a similar upbringing, much like any other. Like, he was brought up by his ghost at Sundance.
Good old Sundance.
Yep, good old Sundance.
She's a legend.
She do be. Yeah, he was brought up by his ghost Sundance. The first moment he gets up, we'll talk a little bit about these journals later, but he sees a journal in front of him. And he reads them. And it makes him think about all of the things that are written inside of it. And at the time, he chooses to believe it's all true. But we'll go into that later, but we'll see if it really is true or not. But then, he makes his way to the tower, and, he gets connected with Guardians and the crew that he is originally connected with, which one of Winter's favorite boyos in lore, Andal Brask.
Mr. Brask.
So they start running in a crew together, as hunters do. And they're doing like heists and stuff, and like robbing from the Elixni or the Fallen at that time. Making sure that things go good for the city while also getting a little bit for themselves on the side. And then this name of infamy comes up amongst the fallen mercenaries and fallen houses that they've been hearing about repeatedly, named Tayde-6.
Tayde-6 the Scarred.
Indeed. He's been making a bit of a name for himself in that he has been taking down guardians and military pieces alike. He's been going the distance in terms of his heists and his targets. So they make a bit of an arrangement because they've noticed and they've been told since the last Hunter Vanguard, which I believe at this point would be Tallulah Fairwind. I'm pretty sure.
Should have been at that point.
Yeah.
Because she
Tallulah
was the one before Andal.
Yeah. So Tallulah Fairwind would be the one that had just passed, because I believe, I'm not sure if she was killed by Tayde-6, but I can look that up real quick.
I don't believe
think
so
she was.
for Tallulah.
All I know is that Tayde-6 made a name for himself by killing quite a few Guardians.
And there's some cool lore just in general, like the All-Tale ship deals with Tallulah as well. In a little bit, it's a good interaction between Andal and her,
Oh yeah, in the tall tale.
or the tall tale. Yeah. So,
All right, we can. I can. Or do you want to read that off? You can.
Yeah,
You
I
can
can,
go.
I can read that off. You're a kid. I'm gonna read a story.
Absolutely.
It's, every true story, every story is true if you tell it right. Andal Brask. You good? Hey. When I got to the city, Tallulah Fairwind was waiting for me at the gate. Oh, Andal Brask, she said with a big grin of hers. Micah warned me about you. I said, warned you? I was dead. Then I floated here. All I've ever done in my entire life is barf into the Pacific Ocean. Which is crazy, because it's just a different time frame, it seems, fully for them as Guardians. Tallulah slapped my shoulder so hard, I actually died right there. My ghost had to res me. I was so embarrassed. When I came to, she crouched next to me. Well, then let's add to your story, she said, without missing a beat. As if she hadn't just murdered me. Starting with some wings, I hear there's a devil around these parts. Stole a ship that sings like an angel. Might need some refurb, but we can get that in Ishtar. I know how to sweet talk the library. She likes it when you tell her about the never be. I don't understand anything you're saying. Or it's a wrong day for my glasses, apparently. She slung an arm around my shoulder. Buck up, little buddy. It's not like we're gonna tap a Vex gate. Not yet, anyway. And you'll never believe what happened then.
So yeah, obviously Tallulah and him had a bit of a fun relationship even from the start, because that sounds like sort of one of their first interactions in terms of their deals slash
Yeah, it's definitely like the start
trips
of
they go on.
their
Yeah.
relationship outside of hearsay from other Guardians they'd been with.
Yeah. And so then Tallulah Fairwind dies, being, I believe, in the line she's the 4th Hunter Vanguard.
I think so, because Cayde is the 6th.
Yeah.
If that sounds right.
Oh, excuse me. But yeah. So what is it? With Tallulah being gone, all the hunters are whispering amongst themselves, Cayde and Andal included. One night they're in a nice little pocket, in a nice little space that they've been chatting and, just having their usual rest period between hunts. And they're talking to themselves and thinking, that Tannix is out there. He's a bit of a problem. Maybe we could do something about that. And he's like, well, I mean, the Vanguard Dare is also a bit of a problem. Or, well, no, the Vanguard Hunter position being gone is also a bit of a problem. And he's like, alright, I'll tell you what. Whoever kills Andal first, or whoever kills Tannix first, sorry. Yeah, whoever kills Andal first, kill him. Whoever kills Tannix first, the loser has to be Hunter Vanguard.
So true.
And so, they're off, they go and find him, they corner him and their crew. But the first to find him is Cayde. So Cayde was actually the first one to, quote-unquote, kill Tannix. And then, off of that, Andal ended up becoming the Hunter Vanguard.
Yes.
And so, after Andal becomes the Hunter Vanguard, things are quiet for a bit. Like, he's doing his job, he's trying his best, making things work. And then some chatter starts to appear again about an Elixir mercenary. There's trouble brewing in sort of the outer rings, like sort of in the reef, if I'm remembering correctly. And so Andal takes it upon himself with a crew of hunters to go and deal with this, but what he didn't know is that it was Tannix, and it was a trap. And that resulted in the final death of Andal Brask. Good man, died too soon.
The odd parallels between Andal's death and Cayde's death is pretty wild.
Yeah, it's a revenge quest. The shoes we fill when Cayde dies is kind of like us filling into Cayde's shoes when Andal died.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool.
I know why you're fussy. Alright, give me like 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Absolutely. I'll regale the stream with tales of peanut butter.
If you want,
So-
you can continue reading some lore if you need to.
Oh yeah, I can do some context as to what we've already done. So, to the lovely people in chat, I'll try to find that lore page that I was talking about where Tannix is actually caught by Andal, and we can read a bit of that. Let's see, regarding Tannix the Scarred. I think this is the one? No, this is from Shadowkeep. That is not the lore entry I'm thinking of. I think this is the one I'm thinking of? Hunter Vanguard Cayde-6. Cayde-6 was a daring hunter with a fast ship, a quick gun hand, and an eye on the legendary Vault of Glass. Of course, he couldn't say no to a challenge, not even the notorious Vanguard dare. He lost the bet, to his immense regret. Now, following in the footsteps of his fallen friend Andal Brask, it is Cayde's turn to oversee his far-flung brethren as the Hunter Vanguard in the Tower. He works dutifully, but longs for a chance to get back into the fight, which he does get back into in Red War and in Forsaken. Yet Tannix the Scarred, a mercenary known for the theft of Axor from the prison of elders and the murder of Hunter Vanguard Andal Brask, sells his services to any fallen house willing to pay the right price. It is believed by the fallen that he is undying, a living huntsman whose physical self is joined with a mix of technologies, each pilfered from legendary treasure troves. But treasure is not the only currency of value to Tannix. His true ambitions rest in the challenge of the feats in front of him, and the rewards simply allow him to exist free of any Kel's rule. So yeah, Tannix is by trade and by nature a true mercenary. He is quite the person. He's a bit of a jerk, he's a bit of a meme, but all in all, he's just a guy. We killed him several times. Let's see. I'm also trying to find... Sorry, everyone. I'm just trying to find this one piece of lore that I keep thinking of, because I keep thinking of this one piece of lore that I've seen where Tannix is... Oh, excuse me for the yawning. Where it's a little more in deep. He puts you in your place. Just wish I could be there to see it. So I guess there isn't. I'm not sure what I am thinking of, but I guess I'm wrong. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the conflict between Tannix and Cayde. The conflict flares up again once we, the Guardian, the player, get involved, because then Tannix makes a return by breaking someone out of the prison of elders, and it's our job to go and kill the guy. By the guy, I mean Tannix. Anyways, where were we? Right, we just got past Tannix, and I was gonna say, I think from here we can move on to Cayde's involvement in our story. We make our way towards the city. So then, we come into the story, we're like a new Guardian on the block, everybody's like, hey, look, a new guy. And even Cayde's like, hey, I like you. You're kind of cool. Let's do some stuff. And it pretty much spirals out from there. And that's just kind of Cayde's attitude. Like, when he meets us, is like, cool, new guy. Let's put you to work.
Come on, Guardian. Let's go steal a ship.
Let's go steal a ship and then plant ourselves in the rings of Saturn.
Yeah. That guy.
Absolutely. That guy. But yeah, then, things happen from the events of D1 to D2. He's somewhat involved, especially in certain aspects of the moon, as well as pretty much certain missions regarding the Fallen. We hear from him a few times. He's also the main reason, like we just said, that we were able to board the Dreadnought, because he comes up with the plan of, oh, let's steal Eris's ship and then board the Dreadnought.
So true.
Pretty
He's gonna
much.
take that ship stargazing, though. That's what he was gonna do.
True. Very true. That sounds very much like him. But yeah, and then also, let me think. I need to go into my notes here. And, okay, let's see. Right. I forgot to bring that up. Probably talk about the fact that Cayde-6 is an exo, and he has nightmares about the crypt, just like any other exo.
They have to have nightmares, kind of.
Yep, pretty much. It's a situation of, like, they would drive themselves crazy if they didn't have certain human aspects to their new metallic body. And, if I'm remembering correctly, the witness, or no, not the witness, but the Vex involvement, it's especially because of the Vex involvement in the creation of the EXO, the perfected EXO project, that these nightmares occur, because apparently it takes you to this place where in the nightmares there's this tall dark tower that you're running towards, and you see all the people you've known in your life, and you're making your way towards the tower and killing them on the way there. So that's pretty bad.
I mean, it could be worse. I'm just kidding.
All right, like overrated as in my opinion. But yeah, so that's a tough little thing. Seeing everyone you love slash know slash care about in your life in front of you and just, slaughtering them on your way to a tall dark tower.
Yeah, that'd be pretty rough.
Yeah. But then, yeah, that's pretty much what it's like to be an EXO. I mean, my guy's an EXO. I believe your guy is also an EXO. So,
He is
I mean,
indeed an exo.
I do believe, we constantly have nightmares. So,
Pretty regularly, my guy.
But yeah, so then from that point on, I think we can go into a little bit more about Uldren.
The old Uldren.
Yeah. So then what ends up happening, because, we have the events of Destiny 1, and then there's the two expansions, which are Courtesan and House of Wolves. Which, House of Wolves is when a lot of stuff happens. So, House of Wolves, there's a few things that happen. One, Crow, or not Crow, Uldren, with the assistance of his crows, which are basically like the Awoken Black Ops kind of thing, do an expedition into the Black Garden. It's very bizarre. There's a lot of stuff wrong with it. But, it kind of leaves him a bit mentally like, whoa. And then he gets out, he comes back to Mara and is like, I went into the Black Garden and I found it, and she's like, you fool. And he's like, but I did it for you.
But sister, it was for you.
But I did it for you.
It's for the future.
The future, for study.
For all of us. Yeah.
Indeed. And so yeah, then he comes back and he's like, why did I even do that? And then that I believe is like sort of in the timeline before the Guardians show up. He goes into the Black Garden before we show up because that's how he knows to use
How to get in
a
there.
Vex
Yeah.
Gate Lord, yeah. But then there is, the Reforce, which is what happens during House of Wolves. Or behind the scenes in House of Wolves. In terms of our involvement, for us, it's just hunting down Skolas. But yeah, pretty much it's that we find, or no, not that we find. It's that Uldren had a part to play in the Reef Wars, but it was basically by Mara's side. It was him and his crows would like go on skirmishes and deal with certain house wolves raiding parties slash combat groups and take them out, that kind of thing. And it was pretty much that. That's about it. And then Cayde was like telling us, go help them out because he has a bit of a better relationship with the Awoken at that point in time. So yeah. Petra! I love field work. But yeah, let me pull up the Reforce real quick. Because there's a few... The Reforce.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's a few things that happen in the Reforce that we could talk about a little. I mean, it's not really stuff super involving Uldren.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's some of it that's interesting. Like in Abide the Return, which is the sword from D2, it talks about Paladin Kamalarior. Because there were a lot of Paladins that were leading the charge. And then... I forget her name, but there were... Paladin Venge. What's her name? Sister. Petra's sister. She died during the Reforce. I think it's Silent Fang. Yeah, that's the one.
Fang. Okay.
Queen. Ha! I had thought it would be so easy, my brother. The Silent Fang brought low. I do not see why this is funny. The Guardian may have dealt with them on Earth, but my crows say we still have much to fear. More of the Fang survives. Nearly every one of them made it out alive. Queen. I find no humor in any of this, brother. The Queen rises and descends to the bottom of the stair, turning in place to take in the chamber. So empty now. No wolves to sit at my feet. My guards. Silence. Talk to Petra. Set more bounties. Hunt down any of the Fang your crows can track. They may have escaped the prison of elders, but they will not escape my wrath. So yeah, basically he's sick on her.
Yeah, and this pretty much sets us up for Crow going to prison, right?
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, so if we're still on the D1 track, then post Reforce, which is what happens there, is the Taken King.
Yeah.
So once the Taken King comes around, big old Daddy Oryx himself, he's pissed about us killing his son. The first people to engage with him, just in terms of their position, are the Awoken, because they're situated in the Reef, which is an asteroid belt between Earth and Mars, I believe? Or is it Mars and Saturn? I can't remember.
So it's in our asteroid belt, which is somewhere after a certain point.
Let's see. Aftermath lore tab.
Because it's added in, Taken King. The sound of her voice ripped him to sleep. He jumped up. Ship was contained. Its protective sphere. This would be when Mara died, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because this is when he officially would have started to lose his mind.
Yeah, pretty much. Because, unbeknownst to anyone else, this was when the Taken corruption was starting to take root inside of him.
Yeah. In a sense of greed, almost.
Yeah.
Not greed, but lust? Not the right word, but also not the right word?
Oh boy.
Well, he was, I would say, lustful for his sister's return.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But yeah, because not like greedy for it, but like he yearned for it. He wanted it back.
Yeah, very much. He wanted his
He-
sister back.
He needed her approval and everything he did again.
That
Well, here,
pops up in the
here's
take. Yeah, what's
a
up?
good question to me is the countdown to the ship's deactivation pulsed. He tried again to home in on her. This is Mara being vanquished by Oryx. To find if she truly gave herself for this battle. He felt close to something, a hum of starlight. Then shield deactivation broke his focus. He climbed out and saw the damage to his ship and the truths of the Armada's devastation sunk in. He turned in despair to find hundreds of crow droids deployed on Mars long ago, circling his ship, waiting. "Welcome back, Master." One of the closest to him spoke first, and the others followed. A wave of salutations echoed through the dry sea. And with that, hope returned. Begin repairs on the ship immediately. Something has gone missing, and you will help me find it. That something's Mara, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's just that's essentially what leads to the problem.
The problem. So then, after all that happens, Uldren seeks out the House of Kings. For some reason. He's just, wanting to find Mara by any means necessary, and he knows his connection to the Elixni is known.
And that takes us to Fanatic, is when he decides to go after the Scorned.
Yeah. So yeah, he goes after, he joins the House of Kings on raiding parties, including against the Awoken people, which makes Uldren already, in the eyes of the Awoken, a criminal.
A war criminal.
A war criminal, yeah.
I'm gonna complete various war crimes.
I'm going to enact various war crimes. Yep, that is Uldren Sov at the end of his life.
That is him for sure.
And gosh,
where,
what is it? The
should we cover Fanatic? Like the
yeah, we can go over the Fanatic. So
lore
that was
pages at least.
I mean, well, I did bring it up because
Yeah.
I did write a note about it because the Scorn is very much an important thing that Uldren did.
Yeah. And then that lore page just covers Fanatic 1 gives us, I just read that. Where's it at?
Yeah, let me look up Fic rule.
Starts off with the she's been silent too long. Why won't she speak to him? But Mara has not been speaking to Uldren either. Oh wait, the reef burns around him. Oh, that's why Mara doesn't speak to Petra.
Yeah, so what is it?
She's not speaking to Uldren either. It's he always wanted to surprise Mara to make her recalculate her plans, but it would help him so much to know what she foresaw a little of this. To be certain that he's in the right way. "Mara," he cries, blinking against the persistent soreness of his right eye. "Sister, have you forsaken me?" Something answers him. And that's where the big bad girl comes in, right?
Mm-hmm. That's when Riven comes in.
Yeah.
And where did you find that lore page?
That's Fanatic Part 1 that was on the just Prince Uldren Sov. It
Gotcha.
is right under, so there's the Aftermath, and then it's number 21.
Fanatic Part 1. There we go. Gotcha.
And then
Alright,
Part
so
2 kind of continues
I
that.
completely forgot that there was 2 lore books for both Cayde and Uldren.
Mm-hmm.
Suffering a numb, scowling pain that drives him to ether and worse distractions. Never felt the light this strong. He's never known pain so deep. How many centuries with his sister and how quickly he's disintegrated without her. Yeah, because it's the whole thing of like, because he's being affected by the taken blight, the light within him, because he's awoken, so he has a little bit of light, a little bit of dark. The light stings because he's slowly being corrupted by the taken blight.
Slowly becoming more, just more dark.
Yep. And then yes, this is when this is when Riven shows up.
Because that starts in Fanatic Part 2, because the last line of 1 is the something answers him. And then Part 2 kicks off with just a whisper, just a brush of reassurance, just a quaver. Uldren, my rescuer. He follows the voice. The violence of his thruster burns his body. Down the tumbling Corvette into the harnessed asteroid below, where shattered servitors and the wreckage of Shanks mark the site of a losing battle. Guardians ambushing a fallen party. Which then...
Dude's chemoceptors detect a trace of ether. He follows it in, and there it is, a fallen Archon crumpled in the dust. Ether hisses through entry and exit wounds cauterized by brutal solar flames, the mark of the golden gun. Uldren hisses in disgust as he traces Guardian's footsteps in the dust. They must have sprinted off together in a rush, no doubt to farm some other site where skiffs were coming down with mining parties. He triages the Archon's wounds, mortal. The victim is shaking now, trembling under Uldren's hands. He wants so badly to do something, anything, to ease the poor soldier's passing. To have the power, some say his sister... Oh, shit.
Everything alright?
Just disconnected again. Give me a second.
You're all good.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
There we go. Now it's fixed. And then, yeah, it says here, does he wish it? Does he wish to save this poor thing? He does. He does. His eyes burn with sympathetic tears as he works to bind the Archon's wounds. His hands are quick and gentle, and he weeps with the strength of his hatred for the Guardians that did this. As tears stain the Archon's wounds, the ether roiling through Uldren's fingers slowly grows heavier, darker, more noxious, he does notice. He does not notice. Finally, he leans back to smear his knuckles across his eyes. Sore. They're always so sore. Under the unmarked helmet, 4 dead eyes open in wonder. The Archon croaks a word, a broken leftover of a dying hallucination, calling out to whoever he wanted to see welcoming him into the afterlife. Dad?
That's rough. That's rough, buddy.
Yeah. And that is why Fickrell refers to Uldren as father.
Yeah.
And that, right there, was Uldren's creation, unintentionally, of the Scorn.
Of the Scorn. Fickrell being a problem.
Yep, very much so.
Fucking Mercer.
Fucking Mercer!
This off to the side of Fickrell 2, or Part 2, or Fanatic Part 2, has the timeline part. It shows Uldren Sov kills the Kell of Kings, which is what you were just talking about.
He ran with the Kell of Kings. He ran with them for quite some time, and then he made the decision that, yeah, the Scorn are going to be useful. So then he kills all of House of Kings with the assistance of Fickrell, and then turns them all into Scorn because they're all dead. And then that's when the Scorned Barons appear on the reef, and that's when Cayde's involvement in their capture becomes important.
This lore it's a pretty good one. It's docking.
Docking? Yeah.
On our list at the end, gasps the former king of Kells. Faithless and false. Your sister's will kept us from the great machine. Uldren Sov. She challenged the wolves by right and noble lineage, but you skulk in shadows and filth. You hide behind your bruises like a dreg. Funny you should mention that, Uldren sneers. He knows he's sneering, but this worthless thing deserves it. What did the King of Kells ever want? To go backwards. To go backward. I don't know why there's not an S there.
Yeah,
To go
that
backward.
is weird.
More servitors, more machines, more of the past. Uldren sees now that extinction is the only beginning. That the bones of what you become can act more powerfully than the flesh that you leave behind. Fikrul. Shattered servitors and dead fallen loom in ether, frosted mounds behind Fikrul. He comes forward silently, hulking, horrific, and his headdress grittying. His headdress his headdress gritting out of the firelight into blocks of shadow and smoke. He carries 2 shock daggers. We are the last of our kinds, Uldren tells the Kell. My sister is gone. So is the idea of your great machine. The difference between us, he leans in to hiss, my sister's coming back. In 4 swift cuts, the Archon of the Scorned Barons dock the Kell of Kings. Uldren tears the House of Kings sigil hanging from the new Dreg's belt and holds it high into this for all to see. The kings are dead. Long live the king, comes Fikrul's reverent growl. It's crazy because he essentially kills the Kell of Kings, but he does it by first turning him back into a dreg.
Yeah.
Rip off his 2 bottom arms, which would be the most brutal thing to do to somebody.
Yeah, pretty much. It's basically like the ultimate sign of like you were a failure, and this is your punishment.
Now you're still a failure.
Oh, Pippi. Hey there. But yeah, that's pretty much. It was Fikrul and Uldren for a good portion. Like it was the 2 of them just taking over the reef slowly.
Wreaking havoc, for sure.
Yeah. And then, you had, of course, your Scorned Barons that came along after the deaths of all these various peoples.
Mm-hmm.
You got your Pir Ha, Rexus Vaughn, the Hanged Man, the Rider, the Machinist, Ilicrus.
The tarot cards, as I would like to call all of them.
Indeed.
The modern day tarot.
Pretty much. And so, yeah, then, you're hunting them down as a guardian, but then before all that happens, we'll talk about the prison break, because he surrenders himself to the reef with the assistance of Cayde-6.
Mm-hmm.
He is captured and put in the prison of elders, our dear Uldren Sov, alongside his Scorned Barons. Oh, what's up?
Oh, I thought you were reading part.
Oh yeah, I can look at this. Uldren, yeah, free part 1.
Free part 1. Okay.
Admit it. Admit that you trapped my sister in the Dreaming City. I did not, Ilin says. She is not trapped, Uldren. She is dead. Uldren knows the truth now, and he wants things to be right. He wants it so fiercely that he knows nothing he does in pursuit of this want can be wrong. Which lies, he spits venomous. She is alive. Ilin measures him in silence for a while. Then, we knew you would come, she tells him with quiet, calm defiance. You're lost, Uldren. You knew I'd come, but you never searched for me? My sister would take your eyes for that. Your sister needs nothing from us now, Uldren, not even you. The rage is almost enough to make him kill her, but he knows Mara wouldn't approve. She is with him now. She is substantial, if not corporeal, and she dances at the edge of his sight. You're so close, she whispers. Free me from this place, Uldren Sov. You've gone mad, Ilin says with repulsive empathy. I almost did too, when I knew she'd gone. Why do you travel with that thing? What have you come to do?
I've come to finish it, Uldren tells her. He even tries to smile because he is being honest. He's telling the truth. I've realized I was a fool to try to surprise her. We all exist through her design, Ilin. We all act only by her consent. I'm going to save her, because she needs me to save her. When she needs me to die, I will die. And when she has completed her great design for the Awoken will die too. It is the reward we so richly deserve, for we owe everything to Mara. It would be wrong for us to outlive our purpose. Trust me, life without her is worse than... He chokes on it. He can't describe it. At the edge of sight, Mara watches him with all the heartbroken concern and tender care he has always wanted from her. That evening, he surrenders himself to the reef. So yeah, that's pretty much what happens. He surrenders himself to the reef. Crow, or no, what is it? It's
They
that.
put him on like high-end security too. It's like a full strike team that delivers him.
Oh
to
yeah,
the Prison of Elders. Snipers,
yeah, because that's
everything.
yeah, pretty much. And Cayde was a part of that team, the one that was sort of like parading him off to the Prison of Elders.
Yes.
At that point, we are now at the conflict, I guess, between Uldren and Cayde. Because at that point is when we become involved, because they're in the prison for a while, and then Varix frees them. Because basically they keep pestering him and like filling his head with like, how does it feel to still be a dog to the Awoken kind of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Basically doing nothing but feeding his doubts of, am I really all this now? Like, am I just the Awoken's lapdog? Will I never be a free Elixni again? And then that's kind of what pushes him towards releasing all the prisoners from the Prison of Elders, is so that he can make a break for it and go and try to be free again with all of his fellow Elixni. In an attempt to search for the Kell of Kells. And yeah, so then the Prison of Elders is open, and that's when we, the Guardian, and Cayde show up. And we find out about, we, the Guardian, find out about the Scorn from that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the infamous moment of Cayde's death occurs at the hands of Uldren Sov.
Yep. You forgot the important part though.
Oh?
We pull up to the Prison of Elders, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then Cayde sees Petra, and he's like, "Do the thing."
And then she flips a knife, and he's like, "Oh,
Never
she did the thing." Never gets old.
That'll
man.
never not freak me out.
That'll never
That's
not
what he
freak me out.
says.
Still, just does a little wiggle. It's just floating. Oh yeah, on that note, from this season, from Season of the Wish, we learned that she's probably gonna be doing some Techian training again. That Petrovenge.
Ooh,
I know, it's kind of interesting.
don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah, Techian Petra.
I don't know, man. Techians have a history of getting corrupted.
Oh no, there ain't that many things to take anymore. Corey is gone. The witness is here, but we don't know how long.
Uldren breaks out of the prison, kills our boy. He kills our boy after our boy brutally murders him. How's your sister?
How's your sister? Best dying words I've ever heard.
Best dying words.
Yep. And so yeah.
Who else would say those lines?
Oh, absolutely. Cayde is just that guy.
He's just built different.
Absolutely.
Literally built different because he's an X.
And so yeah, then after that happens, we bring back Cayde's body to the Vanguard. Ikora is very much of a revenge mindset of we rain holy fire down upon this, as she puts it, son of a bitch. And
to say the least.
We mount his head on his precious throne, I believe is the full statement she makes.
Uldren escapes, and the Guardian rushes over to Cayde-6, who is dying. How's my hair? Speechless? Typical. What a good line.
Yeah.
We get the you tell Zavala and Ikora that the Vanguard is the best bet I ever lost.
Yep.
Then it goes forward. This is not your fault. This is on the head of Uldren Sov. But if he thinks what he's done is the end, it's not. It's the beginning. We're going to fight him. Do you hear me? All of us. Every Titan, every Warlock, every Hunter. We will take the reef by storm, and then we will mount the head of that son of a bitch to his precious throne for our fire team, for Cayde. And then Zavala's like, nah.
No, we are not conquerors. Is I think how he puts it.
Yeah, we are not an army. We are not conquerors. We are guardians. We need to keep our eyes here on our home. This is when Zavala started to lose a little bit of respect for me.
Oh yeah?
But that's like, I get it because he wants to keep protecting the city, and this is the first, or not the first expansion, but the first big event after Red War.
Yeah,
it was in
it
his
really
eyes,
did hit him.
He had that fear of just like, this could come here. If we go to war now, it'll come here. It'll take down the city. That's what I got out of it. But I understand that now. Back then, I was like, "What do you mean, no? You coward!"
I mean, no, it's Cayde.
Excuse me?
Why would you not go after them?
You're just jealous that this isn't your Vanguard.
Yeah, for real.
I brought yours back, damn it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's the whole thing though. Yeah, it's like, technically in lore, it's just like a handful of guardians, because it's like, us, the guardian, goes off, and alone we go and make connections in the reef and find Uldren Sov.
Mm-hmm.
How can this more in a shorter time?
It's also, that same moment is also where Ikora calls Zavala cowardice.
Yes.
It's like the whole, like, and I agreed with her at that moment. And then, of course, us as guardians say that we got this, brother.
Yep, then runs off and then quickly and promptly F's up every member of the Scorn Barons, and then Uldren, who gets the spaghetti treatment.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
You do get attacked by the giant spaghetti monster.
He really does. It's a big old spaghetti monster.
100% spaghetti.
But yeah, moving quickly to the end there, I guess. Yeah, the death of Uldren Sov. Like, we can talk about that. I mean, we could talk about we should talk about how first his manipulation by Riven, it just gets worse and worse for him.
It really does.
It's like she gets more vocal, she gets more solid as an image in front of him as Mara. And then, it leads him to Earth, and he does that iconic scene of him yelling while just firing the Ace of Spades into the Shard of the Traveler, just ah! And then just pulling out the chunk. So yeah, that happened.
That's where Petra That's where Petra went to go take a shot and missed it. She's a goof.
Yeah, old goofy goober. Yeah, I like that scene because it's all of the House of Dusk around him are just like not messing with him. Partially because it's Uldren Sov and you don't mess with Uldren Sov, but also because like there's a level of respect that the Elixni have towards Uldren because he kind of treated them better than most other people.
Because his crows were Elixni, essentially. Some of them,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Some of them, yeah.
So.
But yeah, so that happened.
He gave them a home. It doesn't mean he was great for them, but he gave them a home.
Pretty much. And so yeah, then that all happens. The reason he gets the shard of the travelers because he needs a source of dark, which is Fikrul, and a source of light, which is the shard of the traveler, to get into the dreaming city.
And he does it.
And he does. And then when he gets there, he's met with the giant spaghetti monster, the voice of Riven.
Yeah. That proves to him that he was pretty much egged on.
Yeah, pretty
but
much.
That she could still give him
bamboozled.
exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, effectively. Although technically she never needed to because Mara saved herself.
Yeah. Which is where it comes to a weird point that I think Riven knew that.
Yeah.
But knew she could take advantage to grant a wish.
Yes, exactly.
Because she needed to grant one to live, right?
Yeah, because she was taken.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that she couldn't live with being taken. Because she still maintained her sentience, but if she were to be needed to enact Oryx's will, she would have to. But he's dead. So now it's sort of in a weird position of like, I can't act for myself. I need somebody to wish me out of this.
And it would have been any wish. Like, she probably would have wished to be ended.
Yeah.
Still happened
That's
for
what,
her. But...
Yeah, that is last wish, but it's actually, I believe in this season, one of the things she says to us is like, it's so good to speak to you with a clear mind, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, I can finally talk to you as my own voice and with my own thoughts. But yeah, so that was the thing, and then we find Uldren there, us and Petrovenge, and it is believed that one or the other takes the shot on Uldren, but I think me and Winter are both in agreement that we both shot him pretty much simultaneously.
Yeah, well, it's awkward, right?
Yeah.
I think because you don't hear two separate gunshots, but the shot that you hear is very obviously Ace.
Yeah. However, I
cannon
did
versus sidearm, it would be louder anyways.
Yeah, pretty much, because I did some I guess the best way I could put it is diving into the audio there, because I was listening for the Vestian Dynasty, because that's the pistol that Petra uses, is the Vestian Dynasty, and it does sound like that as well as the Ace of Spades. So it's very much thought, I think, at this point, that we both took the shot on Uldren.
After his classic line of, "What would the notorious Cayde-6 do? You have his gun. Seems you get the last word," which was a little weird. I'm just kidding.
The last word.
That.
You get the last word, but this is the Ace of Spades, you moron.
But I've already had the last word. It was just shortly after that they gave it back to us.
Indeed.
Maybe that was their
Black
spoiler
Armory,
to us.
It was a fun quest too, because you had to shoot the guy's gun.
Yeah, and you had to quick draw them too. If you were too fast, you failed it. So fun. But that happens. We kill him. And the Queen's Court happens.
Yeah, that does. That does indeed happen.
A good old ghost named Pork Chop shows up on the scene.
Or is it pork chop or pulled pork?
That's pulled pork. Pulled pork.
Pulled pork. Yeah.
You right.
Yep. So the events of Forsaken all happen. We as in we the Guardians, we take out Riven. Dreaming City's cursed. It's tough. And then what ends up happening is, exactly what Winter said. Pulled pork shows up, and if you want to take it from there, Winter.
Pulled pork. Let me get to Crow real quick.
Yep.
Because Uldren Sov and Crow are on two separate pages. If I remember correctly. It's
while
Old
you're
Elder Crow. There
doing
it is.
that, I'm also going to pull up, let's see, the man they called Cayde, so we can talk a little about Cayde 1 through 5.
Yeah, Uldren was later revived by a ghost nicknamed Pulled Pork and became a guardian. And this is the first like piece of lore that we actually got of that the ghosts name us and we name our ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
And Crow, not Uldren anymore, we've moved on, has decided to name him Glint based off of the light that comes off of him.
Mm-hmm.
This then just does. He then ends up being almost like a slave to Spider, I would say.
Yeah.
Like
So it's
forced
that.
to work for, but also not entirely. Like he's just not free yet.
Yeah, pretty much. It was that, Uldren, or not, Crow at this point was resurrected, and pretty much every mile down the road, he'd run into another guardian that would beat the absolute crap out of him, kill him, and then Glint would res him, and he'd be like, why did that happen? And he'd be like, you don't want to know.
I don't know, man. Yeah. And then we go in after encountering Crow. We encounter him with.
We
Osiris,
encounter him.
right?
Yes, so we go to the moon because Xivu Arath's forces have now made themselves known inside the Sol system.
Mm-hmm.
And we take on this knight, and we're at the bottom, and Osiris is on top with a sword, and then he gets knocked down, resulting in one of my favorite memes, which is the knight knocks him down, and Osiris, aka Savathun, somebody overdubbed that moment where he's on the floor. He's like, buddy, I'm gonna need you to stop what the fuck you're doing right now. I am in step 12 of a 74-step plan, and you are making this really hard.
Yeah.
The way that things have been, oh, ooh. So, to all you lovely people, I'm just gonna read this off, because it's a nice little piece of lore from Cayde's perspective about. This is the one I was thinking of, about the capture of the Scorn Barons. So it's sometime after the Barons' capture, Cayde and the Guardians were called on by Petra Venge to respond to a prison riot within the Prison of Elders. Venge soon discovered that it was not a riot, but a prison break orchestrated by Uldren and the Barons. In an attempt to block their escape, Cayde went to face them alone at the bottom of the prison. Damn, bro. Who the hell is messaging me so much? But what is it? Sometime after the Barons escaped, a firefight ensued in which Cayde's ghost Sundance was destroyed. Uldren Sov then came to take the Ace of Spades, killing Cayde with it before the Guardian or Venge could arrive to help. After we get to a nice little pause point in Crows, we'll go over just the full book of the man they called Cayde. Because honestly, all of it together, pretty good.
Yeah, we have the moment of when we interact with Crow for the first time was on that quest, the trial of the hunted, hunter, and the hunted. Or trial of the hunted, hunter, and the hunted. What that quest was. We went to the moon or
Temple of Ord, I believe.
to Mars and deal with. It was like our first moment to dealing with anything from Xivu, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So we had the
Because
Wrathborn.
up until that point, we had known nothing about the Wrathborn.
Yeah.
And it was at this point that I was like, when did Osiris become an expert on Hive?
Yeah. It seemed a little weird, but after he lost Segura, it kind of just showed that he lost his mind and just studied and was trying to just like find ways to possibly bring her back.
Yeah. But then later on we find out why he's such an expert on Hive. Which brings us to this next part that I put down in my notes, which is Crow's relationship with Savathun.
the Witch Queen, she's a liar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just to sort of like give a... Because we could also... Oh, wait, no. I'm going too far ahead. Savathun is not first. What's first is his involvement in the battlegrounds during Season of the Chosen.
And the Wrathborn, essentially. Which,
And the Wrathborn.
I guess to cover Wrathborn is Spider didn't use him as a slave. He was used as a bounty hunter to get things for Spider.
Pretty much. But his hold that he had over Crow to make sure he didn't get too far was that he'd placed a microbomb inside of Glint.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Because we never got like full proof of that, right?
No, they talked about how it was removed.
Okay.
So he did, in point of fact, have a bomb on Glint.
This was a good turning point for us as Guardians, too, that whole moment. For us to realize he was someone not who we thought he was.
It also results in a really good ending cutscene at the end of Season of the Hunt, where basically our whole arrangement is the removal of Xivu Arath's forces from the reef will result in a choice selection of anything inside of Spider's treasure room. And the thing that we select to be freed is Crow. So,
Yeah. Be it for us to unalive him or not.
well, I think it's definitely shown that, like, as the Guardians see Crow and sort of see his effort and, like, his want to be good, it's kind of like you have to do that thing that you do as a Guardian where when a Guardian is risen, it's their second chance. And you have no reason to put upon them the misgivings of their forebearer.
Yeah. I think the cool thing with... Oh man, I had another idea and it's gone. It's out of my head. Oh well. It dealt with Crow. Oh, there it is. When I like the idea of like, so there's that footage of pre-released Destiny 1 of Crow as Vanguard, which hopefully people assume at this point that he's going to be the next one. I like the idea of using that as recent footage after Crow wakes up.
Yeah.
Because then it's his dialogue fits so well with the hunt, but it would be a different interaction with us to him, because it's, why is the city breathing down my neck? It should be entirely because, brother, you're not alive. And then the good old put down that gun so we can talk. In the wild, this is how we talk. Now he's not really that way anymore. He's kind of...
He's golden retriever.
Yeah.
I mean, but honestly, I kind of like that he is. Like, the sort of like renegade daring do slash gunslinger trope Wild West aesthetic. It fits Cayde.
It very much, that is Cayde's.
Because he's very much like an outlaw. But even Uldren, like, at his earlier stage, like, he was just the epitome of loyalty. Like, he was loyal, and he just wanted to be the best. The best that he could be. The good be. That he could be. So it makes sense that he would be the way he is as Crow.
Yeah.
But then, moving forward, after we free him, he wants to involve himself more with the Vanguard. So then Osiris, with Crow wearing a mask, introduces him to the Vanguard leaders, Rykora and Zawaka. And that is how that starts.
The whole interactions begin, essentially.
Mm-hmm. And then with Empress Cayde being more directly involved in the Sol System conflict, makes the proposal for the members of humanity to join the Cabal or submit under their rule. Zavala says no. Which then results in a lot of battles. It results in a lot of combat, and Crow is involved in a lot of them.
A lot of arenas.
And he's simultaneously being taught stuff by Osiris/Savathun and Saladin.
Very much getting taught by Osiris, which is crazy. Like the Savathun Osiris. Savosiris.
Savosiris.
She could have corrupted him down a fully different path.
Oh yeah, absolutely she could have, but she saw more use in him being his own person.
Yeah. Which is good.
But dude, there's one piece of dialogue which I can find. One piece of dialogue. It's the one where he speaks with Savathun, and it's basically after this point that during Season of the Lost, everyone is like, we can't tell you, it would go against what we believe. And he's like, I'm tired of this, Grandpa. And then he goes to Savathun, and he's like, I want to know. And then, he knows. He knows.
Savathun gives him his memories back.
Yep.
How does she do that? I'm not fully sure.
Darkness.
Yeah. But would the darkness hold that? That's my question. Okay.
Technically, from what we understand about the Veil, it's a constant chorus of voices and memories, which means all things... Mavis, F off. All beings that were tied into the darkness, aka any sentient life, their memories would be connected via the Veil. So, yeah, I could see him getting his memories back.
Okay.
But yes, everyone. Crow has quite the involvement during Season of the Chosen, which is when Cayde physically shows up inside of the solar system. And he has quite a lot to say. Or, I guess, quite a lot to act for. He's very eager to prove himself. He, at 2 different points, saves Zavala from assassination.
Big time.
Yep. So it was once in lore, when Zavala was just chilling on the balcony, just enjoying the garden that he has, because apparently he has a garden.
Understandable.
And sort of just lamenting over the fact of everything that's happened. And it's then that a Scion sniper tries to take a shot at Zavala. And then Crow gets him first, but he was not wearing his mask.
It's true.
So, there was a moment of fear for Crow there. And then, later on, at the end of Season of the Chosen, after the events of all the battlegrounds, and after the events of the Rite of Proving being done in that one strike, I forget what, Proving Grounds?
That sounds right.
It's arranged that there will be a truce or ceasefire between the Cabal, or no, it's a truce. It's the two of them it's a coalition, I believe is the word I'm looking for, between the two. And there are some Scion defectors that are still sort of callous loyalists that are not for this plan. So when the peace agreement comes around and Zavala and Cayde meet on Nessus for an agreement, an arrangement, it's not really cool with them. So then they have this light suppressing technology that they use that is a smaller version of what they used on the Traveler to suppress Zavala's ghost and then see if they can take the shot, which results in very interesting things. First one being Crow takes the shot for Zavala, and then Cayde bashes the Scion in the ground, which results in a very iconic cutscene of Zavala seeing Uldren's face, seeing that Crow is the resurrected Uldren, but as a guardian and no longer as himself, and he extends a hand to help him up.
And picks him up, ultimately paralleling the Uldren over Cayde
Yes,
moment, and then the Cayde over Uldren moment.
indeed.
So
it's all rather good. But yeah, that's what happened during Chosen. And then Crow was not super involved during Season of Splicer, although he does say he wish he had been involved more because of his relations with the Elixir. But then during Season of the Lost, which is what we were talking about, now we can get caught up to where my speedy brain was at. Basically, there's some dialogue that occurs between him and Savathun, and that results in him getting his memories back.
was this before or after Hawkmoon?
This was after Hawkmoon. This was after Hawkmoon and the ship that the Traveler gave him as well.
Okay. I forgot he got a ship.
The events of Season of the Lost happen. It's all well and good. And then I think there we can take a pause for Crow, and then I was going to say maybe you and I just go over the Man They Called Cayde lore book.
You can just go over that, yeah.
Because that one has some... Or, no, let's continue with Crow. We can go back to Cayde once we're, like, fully up to date with Crow.
Up to him.
'Cause then...
Well, we're at his memories now. That kind of would fall into Cayde, right?
Okay, well then yeah, that's fair. So then yeah, like, you know, Crow is now lamenting over his memories of people. And then the next 2 seasons afterwards are not great for him.
Yeah.
He, what is it? So... that can take us back to the Man They Call Cayde, so let's do that.
We just want to read through the whole...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a pretty quick read once you get into the flow of it.
Yeah. Just alternate who reads what. Like, alternate
Yeah, pretty much.
the book,
So, yeah,
the lore entries, the books, the pages.
It is...
Should I pull down my actual grimoire to read it, or should I just...
12, 13, so it's 13 pages.
Yeah. All joking aside, maybe I've made mistakes. Maybe some more recently than others. Hard to believe, I know, but maybe it's true. Maybe. Here's the thing about mistakes. You learn from them. Again, this is assuming the theoretical concept of me having made some mistakes is true. So yeah, maybe that's what I'm doing. Trying to learn from these very hypothetical slip-ups. Tuning inward, or turning inward, they call it. They, being Ikora. Eris calls it something different. Eris calls a lot of things something different. I miss that girl. But here I am, stalling, buying time. But this ain't easy for me. Thought it would be easy. I mean, or at least easier than this. Thought a lot of things would be easier. Hell. Thought a lot of things about a lot of things. But maybe that's what makes me the person I am. Makes any of us part of humanity. All our big thoughts and big plans, hopes and dreams, and all that squishy nonsense. Okay, fine. Look. If I'm playing at honesty, and I think that's what I'm doing here, maybe those hopes and dreams are all that really matters. Just not losing sight of them is the hard part. Life is full of those little distractions that fudge the edges. Makes those hopes and dreams a little blurrier. That's the power of maybes. That's the power of maybes, I suppose. The temptation of playing both ends against the middle. Maybes provide wiggle room. Maybes provide wiggle room. I gotta learn how to read again. Jeez. Navies provide wiggle room, and I like my edges fudgy. And love me some wiggle room. But if I'm gonna stay true to this whole rambling dear diary, how do you do business? I guess what I'm saying is I'm sick of maybes. And if I'm a straight shooter, and I'm nothing if not, then I gotta get straight. Then I gotta shoot straight. Whew. Even if there ain't a gun in my hand. So let's keep this between you and I. Keep this between me and you, okay? Here's the deal. My name is Cayde-6, and this is my story.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It all started when my mom met my dad.
My mom met my dad, and they had me. Hi, I'm Cayde-6, and this is my story, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that first little bit is just, you know, Cade's typical, like, any aversion to
Just a beginning.
actually, yeah, anything actually involving himself is just a difficult thing for him. Oh gosh darn it.
It's the same thing when anybody starts writing a journal on themselves. Like, you don't know what to say. You cover things that you think are important.
Yeah, pretty much.
You get there eventually. It's not fun.
Yeah.
My question with the Eris thing is, do you think this is pre Crota's end, or like when he says he misses her?
So no, this would be, I think it's post, because the whole thing is that when the Red War happened, she dipped.
That's fair.
Nobody
Okay.
knew where she was for a while.
That's fair. Part of me was thinking that it was like he missed the old her when she was
yeah.
true Hunter. But she might not have been Hunter under his reign, though.
I think she was.
Okay. I couldn't remember if Crota was before or after Cayde.
Yeah, because Cayde says Crota was before his time. Or no, he says that he was before... Andal was before Crota's time. So then Cayde would have been around when Crota was around.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so then next up is Call, which is him talking a bit about the Exos.
This would be a good one for you, because you already kind of discussed it a little bit.
Yeah. So here we go. Now, to be clear, yeah, the plan is to tell it like it is, but don't expect every little detail to play out. I'm gonna hit the important stuff, sure, but what I'm really after here is a sense of me. Because once you understand me, you just might understand where I'm coming from, why I do the things I do, and why I've done the things I've done. So read between the lines if you have to, but at the end of the day, everything that matters should be readily apparent. If not, you're not paying attention. So here goes. Us Exos are haunted. Sounds ominous, I know, and maybe a bit of a stretch, but really it's the best word. Kinda sets the stage in a way the raw facts don't. The Guardians have all got past lives, but unless you returned with any definitive info on your person or in proximity, I'm looking at you, Bray, that past life or lives was or were wiped clean. Gone, reborn in the light and all. You become what you become. Exos, though. We've got ghosts in our machines, not capital G. Open doors and know things ghosts. I mean, like, fragments of, I don't know, pieces of something that could be memory. Whatever it is, it's enough to give us a starting point to maybe possibly imagine who we were before we became who we are. And then there's the dreams, but I ain't touching that with a 10-foot arc staff. Me, I'm one of the lucky few. The fudgy flashes of that old exo life weren't all I had to go on. See, the me that was in my life before my trusty capital G ghost found me kept journals, like mementos, fragments of my prior life that give me a baseline of who I was. The journals are personal, and I keep personal close to the chest. I've shared a few pages, sure, but only with right-minded types who could find a little value in seeing the man behind the myth. Yeah, myth. I said it. Who are we kidding? You've heard of me. Who hasn't? Point is, I don't make a show of personal business. First, because it's my fuel to burn. Second, because Big Blue ain't a big fan of his guardians poking around what they used to be. Something about duty, rules, not losing sight of why we were chosen. But more than any of that, most of us chosen ones don't have the luxury of a past, so rubbing it in doesn't seem right. Look, all I know is, when I rejoined the land of the living, the pre-light version of me was kind enough to lend a guiding hand. I took that hand, gave it a high five, and followed its example the best I could. All this time later, I may not know my true purpose. I leave the big ticket existential questions to the warlocks, but I know this. My calling is to do good. Maybe not always to be good, but to do good. There's a difference. And if I don't always go about it in a manner that fits the textbook definitions of hero or team player, I'm looking at you, Big Blue. Just know, I might dance to my own tune, but we're all at the same hoedown. Or something like that. Yep, that's Cayde.
That's Cayde.
That was Cayde in a nutshell.
Expression his love for the wild, but...
Oh, that is a good
okay
question.
Doing what he's doing. Pretty much.
I think someone in chat asked a really interesting question.
Okay. If they answer chat, but if a guardian has a scar before they are reborn, do they keep it or is it healed? Good question. I'm gonna pin that. We can answer that in the Q&A section at the end.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a good question, though.
That is a good question.
I should make you a mod so that you can also pin them.
I am a mod.
You are a mod? Oh, okay. I thought so.
Yeah.
Don't
But yeah,
listen.
that is a good question. We will totally get back to you at the end of the once we're at the end section where people can chat and talk. This is our first episode, so we're really just playing it by ear. But
We're slowly figuring it out.
yeah, we're definitely like at the point where we're just giving out info, and then if any of you have questions about stuff at the end, we're gonna have a chat with everybody in chat.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, so the next up on the list is First Stake. And I think this is the when he was first getting in line with Vanguard stuff.
With the what and stuff?
Vanguard stuff.
Vanguard, yeah. The references. Chiro and and Vandal. Oh god.
Not Vandal. Randall the Vandal? The Immortal.
First Stake. Made a deal with myself long ago. If people needed help, I could do the helping. I would. So I do. Yeah, when that help returns a bit of loot or goodwill my way, all the better. But there's never been a cache I robbed or a stash I hid that didn't offer something to those in need. Not many people know that. Fine by me. I don't like to brag. True, I never wanted the Vanguard's life, but that's not because I didn't see its value. Just that its value fit others better than me. Besides, few can do what I do. Hell, few would even try. I mean, come on. It's me. The places I've been, the trouble I've seen, caused, whatever, was a time Shiro, Andal, and the crew and me would do more good doing bad than the mightiest Titan ever dreamed. The trails we blazed, the supplies we recovered. Oh god, Winter, learn how to read.
You're good, man.
Pilfered? Is that right?
Yeah, pilfered.
Is it pilfered or is it pilfered?
Yeah, it's pilfered.
Pilfered, okay. The supplies we recovered, pilfered, filched, scammed, stole, found, uncovered, looted. We weren't the only ones. But the world outside the city got a whole lot bigger thanks to us. Yeah, sure. I don't get out as much. But I'm fixing to change that. Zavala won't like it. Never does. Ikora will try to convince me otherwise, always does. But we've seen our precious light. But we've seen how our precious light is, how fleeting. Gotta use it while we got it. Do good, be good, push the limits, take back what's ours. And that was my first bet. All in, day one, I bet on myself. I saw the edge of the Dark Ages. You've heard the stories. If not, look them up. Scary stuff, real eye-opener. I've seen the city grow and fall and grow again, stronger. I've seen the best of us and the worst. And I'll fight to ensure we stick around long enough to see that best turn into something better. And I'll fight to ensure we stick around long enough to see that best turn to better and that worst fade to memory. So yeah, I'm a loudmouth and a braggart. And I'm quick with a blade and fast on the draw. If you need it found, fought, killed, saved, or stashed for keepsafing, you can do better. But in the end, I'm only good because he was good. I like to think I've learned that from myself. That the notes left by the me that was before, set the stage. That five figured back in those dark days that 6 might not turn out that 6 might not turn out, oh my god. That 6 might not turn out all that nice and end up a 7. So that former me wrote me a roadmap to the version of him or me that would be a better man. So whatever hand I was dealt when the bet was placed and it was time to call, no matter what, I had an ace and a queen up my sleeve. Meaning I couldn't lose. Meaning the better man would always win.
Mm-hmm.
My man.
So yeah, he's briefly bringing it up here, but the queen and ace that he's talking about are the potentially made-up daughter and son he had, but also potentially not made-up daughter and son he had.
Would it be daughter and son, or would it be wife and son?
Oh yeah, wife and son, sorry.
Okay. I was like, hold up.
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, it was enough to motivate him to be better.
True.
Alright, and then this is the one we were referencing earlier, which was Fold.
Yep.
Yeah, so ever heard of Andal Brask? You should have. One of the old heroes, before Black Gardens and Hive Gods and that cabal-shaped mess we just cleaned up. Yeah, he was something. Hunter part of the Vanguard before yours truly. More importantly, he was my friend. A brother, even. Andal and I used to run with one heck of a crew. This was before he got himself roped into fire teaming up with the top brass. Oh, we were legendary. Ran scouting parties looking for survivors to lead back cityside. Mapped lost sites where old tech or supplies might still be worth the salvage. Hunted plenty of fallen, never an easy task, especially in the early days. And by early days, I mean my early days. Lots of Guardians been around longer than me, but even in my newborn new life, the city had a lot of growing up to do. And us Guardians had a hell of a lot to learn. Trouble is, we only ever seemed to learn the hard way. The Red War. That time Crota woke up cranky and slapped around more Guardians than I can count. Twilight Gap, and all the bad that happened before my time. The Iron Lords and their tussle with Siva. 6 fronts. And those are just the headline grabbers. So many lessons learned, so many lives lost. But in truth, I've always felt it's the day-to-day struggles where we learn the most about the world, about ourselves. Being inside the city walls, sure, we're reminded of what we're fighting for, but outside the walls, it puts a face to all we've lost. Puts a reality to how far we've fallen. Abandoned roads, crumbling cities, rust and ruin, ruin and rust. But if the city gives us reason to fight for the now, those old dead places always give me hope for tomorrow. Rusted, broken skeletons or not, if you squint, you can see all we were and all we can be. That's why when Andal left the road and joined the Vanguard, me and the crew hoped he'd get the others, Osiris, Zavala, even the Speaker, to see what we saw. The city was a refuge, yeah, but if we hid too long, let all we'd lost get picked apart by pirates and warmongers, we'd lose our humanity, just like we lost Andal.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Andal, bro.
That was
But
rough.
yeah, that is rough. Cause yeah, Cayde was very connected to his crew, and then as a result of the dare, as we covered earlier, when Andal died, he technically lost the bet. So then he went and killed Tannix another time, and then he came back and became the Hunter Vanguard.
And ultimately, Cayde just wanted the Vanguard to see that the outlaws were worth prowling, or the wastelands were worth prowling, not the outlaws.
Yeah, very true. Because honestly, he's absolutely right. The Last City, as amazing a structure as it is, and as amazing as a refuge for the last bits of humanity as it is, it definitely is telling of all of these cities on other moons and planets that are just left abandoned that we could potentially take back one day, and we shouldn't just put all of our chickens in one, or put all our eggs in one basket, I guess is the right saying.
Well, hey,
On the Last City.
I don't know about you. I ain't never been to the Last City.
You ain't never been to the Last City?
I never been to the Last City. I mean, like, I fought in it once.
I mean, it's pretty cool there.
We only been there like twice.
I mean, yeah, we fought there, Red War, as well as the Scourge of the Past raid.
Yeah, that's true. Scourge of the Past. But like, outside of that, we then fought Onslaught and I.
True.
Yeah. I've only seen it in ruins. I haven't seen it in good.
Well, those are like the districts that were like broken into.
You're right.
You right.
Alright. That folds, that was fold.
Yeah. So now
Now
we're at
we're-
flop.
Flop. I play nice with the Vanguard now, but it wasn't always that way. Not that we were enemies. We just tended to see things through a different lens. But Andal, playing nice was his forte. He was always more, I think, diplomatic is the word. Our play back in the day was get the Vanguard to loosen their leash, let us explore, and let us lead a new era of expansion. And the riches of the system would be ours. Ours, as in everybody's, of course. Though we'd get our cut. In hindsight, we were way too ambitious. Didn't see in that light at the time. Didn't see it in that light at the time.
Mhm.
But then again, you never do. When Andal joined the Vanguard, he was our inside man. It was a sweet deal. He would drop intel on new stashes or fallen movements, and Shiro and I would jump the gun. Hit him first. Claim what we could, deliver the rest to the city. Maybe we skimmed a little off the top. Nothing excessive, just a finder's fee. Probably shouldn't be all this out there for anyone to judge. What's the statute of limitations on misspent youth? Whatever. Long time ago. But it speaks to what I'm getting at. I always tried to do right, even if I occasionally got sidetracked. Andal joining the Vanguard was a gift in some ways, a bummer in others. More importantly, he made a deal, given his word to me and to himself when he took the dare. I won, he lost. So he left the road, joined the bigwigs in the Vanguard, and he reminded me of a lesson I've always known, but every now and then would forget. You give your word, you keep it. But the longer Andal was up in that tower, caged, my word, never his, the more he saw things the Vanguard way. Looking back, he was only ever doing the right thing. Seeing him change and, in truth, grow as a guardian and as a person. I've never admitted this, but I thought less of him, my best friend, my closest ally, all because he'd stuck to his word, accepted the dare, and even when he came up on the bad end, he never wavered from doing exactly what he said he'd do. Join the damn Vanguard. Leave me and Shiro to have all the fun. I thought he was a sucker. Turns out, the only sucker was me. Yeah.
Real.
I mean, it's the classic story of like growing up, right? You got your friends by your side, and then one of them just grows up and does their thing, and you still hang out, but they got work in the morning.
Yeah,
they got a kid to take care of.
Yeah. I mean, effectively, yeah. It kind of reminds me of that scene in Good Will Hunting where what is it, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, they're like talking with each other, and he's like, dude, if you're still working here after all these years, I'll fucking kill you.
It's true. It's so true. It's how it is.
It's like he wanted better for all of them, but at the same time, he also, he wanted his buddy back on the crew.
This also gives us just that classic, you still have that classic outlaw Cayde feeling to it, that they were Robin Hooding.
Yes, pretty much.
A little bit worse than Robin Hooding because they were keeping some of it. But
yeah.
At the end of the day, like, it's what they did. That's what hunters do. A hunter must hunt. Away.
Away. Plague-ridden rat.
Yeah,
this round's finished.
That's the best part of that entry is just it just takes you back to like being a child growing up, and then just like doing good for people, but also for yourself.
Yeah, honestly, like, that seemed to be Cayde to a T. And I mean, they really have been trying to drive that home for people that didn't get to know Cayde and that are like joining just now for the final shape of like, this is the epitome of Destiny's honor among thieves character. Like, he believed in doing good, but he believed in doing good through any means.
Yeah. When the Red War happened, he was the first Vanguard to dip out of the tower and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, he full blown was like, I'm gonna do my own thing and start this somewhere else. He did not tell Zavala his plan. He did not tell Ikora his plan. He told us his plan.
Yep.
Pretty crazy.
Hold on. You said Zavala needs me? As in you heard those exact words come out of his mouth? Tell me you recorded this.
So true. So true.
Alright, but anyways, where is the next thing? The next thing.
Raise.
Raise, there we go.
Are you on Ishtar?
Yes, I am on.
So at the bottom, I just noticed this. The bottom right, it says
there's
the next
page, which is kind of cool. I did notice that. So, yeah.
I didn't notice that until just now. I was going back and then trying to figure out which one we were on.
Oh, that's fair.
Yep.
But yeah, what is it? Okay, here we go. In case you can't tell, I ain't the best storyteller. I can be. Boy, howdy, can I rip a yarn. Don't believe me? Ask Cece. Don't believe him? Ask the Colonel. Those two have heard things you wouldn't believe. Just that what I'm doing here, the whole based on a true story thing, I can feel myself trying to talk around what I want to say. Fill it with the old poop and circumstance. I'm trying, though, fighting my better angels to get what I need to say, to get to what I need to say. And what I need to say starts with Andal. Andal and the dare. My dare, our dare, the hunter's dare. It's a stupid thing, but it's an honor thing. And it cost me my friend. I cost me my friend. But before the dare, we had Tannix.
Hell, after the dare we had Taniks. After my dare we had Taniks. Always comes back to Taniks, don't it? For the uninitiated, Taniks is a fallen mercenary with no house but the house that pays him. Most fallen won't deal with him, but when a captain or an archon or a kell needs something done and their crews ain't cutting it, or when they want a job done real hush-hush, they call Taniks. Back in the day, me, Shiro, Andal, and a few others got on radars we'd rather stay off. The fallen houses put out bounties, lot of glimmer on our heads. Lot of ether. Taniks took the gig. Only we didn't know. There'd been stories of a renegade fallen dropping bodies, but nothing ever concrete, so we just brushed them off as more of the same. Nothing we couldn't handle, even on an off day. I mean, we were all aware the Fallen were dangerous, big-time threat each day, every day, but a solitary Fallen boogeyman, free of house, cutting down Guardians one by one? Yeah, right. Until yeah, right was standing in front of us. First impression, he was a big boy. Bad attitude. Second, he was standing over the body of Neon Ruo. Didn't know her well, but we'd done a few runs. That day was supposed to be an in and outer, but then Taniks. Nian never got back up, and Shiro's boy Lush lost his ghost. Full on RTL, returned to light. Gone and gone. The whole scene was a blur. Lost our haul and hauled our butts out of there. Still not sure how we lost Taniks and his boys. Just lucky we did. Of course, ditching that troublemaker wasn't the end. Shiro and I got back, filled Andal in on what went down as soon as we found him. This was before his Vanguard days. He'd been running a second grab on a cache out west. Wasn't back till the next night. We told him about Nian. Lush was freaking out about his ghost. Couldn't blame him. Still can't. Then we did the dumb thing. We got cocky.
I forgot all about Lush, I'm not gonna lie.
Honestly, same here.
And he was a part of the crew of the Rat King.
Yes.
Yeah. That name, I was like, whoa, hold on. I know that name.
Yeah.
Yeah. We still don't know if he's alive or dead, technically.
Yeah, he could just be a guy now.
Could just be a guy. Well, he went on, if I remember correctly, he went on a solo mission.
Oh.
And his body was never recovered or found or anything.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
If I remember correctly. What's to say? A year after the confrontation with Taniks, Lush left on a solo run without informing anyone and was assumed dead after he never returned. Due to his body never being found, Shiro continued to tell stories about Lush, claiming he was still alive, having unknown adventures. One tale he told claimed Lush had joined the crew of the Rat King and fought secret wars to protect the last city.
Oh.
So I guess he never has joined. It's not official part of the Rat King, but if it's out of my boy Shiro's mouth, it's real.
For real.
For real.
I live and die by Shiro.
You know, Cayde was right about you.
You know, Cayde was right about you. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's just good piece. Continues everything there.
Yeah, pretty much. And then hold on, let me look at the... How far are we in?
We're on turn.
Okay.
We're about half.
Yeah. We got about 5 left.
Yeah. After all in, of course. Right? Oh no, we're on turn now.
Yeah, we're on turn now.
So 6 left.
Yeah, what is it? Okay, so... That's all you, my man.
Yeah. Turn. Tannic didn't announce himself, didn't say a word, just laughed a few times and tried like hell to kill us all. But we knew it was him. The stories matched the story, you know? Which meant the boogeyman had a face. The boogeyman was real. We could hunt, real. We could track, real. We could end, real. Andal said something like, the hunter is about to become the hunted at the hands of the hunters he'd hunted. I know, don't laugh. I didn't. He was a great guy, even if his humor was a bit forced. Seems like a nice way to put it, but he wasn't wrong. Lush wanted to join up, a little payback for his little light. But we nixed that. Loved the kid, but no ghost meant no way. Poor fella died his final death. RTL, less than a cycle later, went on a solo run and didn't tell anyone. Never came back. Shiro used to spin stories about him, still does. Like he's still out there, living the life we only dreamed of. Only traveling unknown roads, digging up untold treasures. My favorite one's about the Rat King, how Lush joins up with a folktale, and together they fight the wars we don't see. It's just a fantasy, but I like it. It's the kind of bedtime story I used to tell Ace when he was fighting off sleep. When he was here. But he's not here. Neither is Lush, neither is Andal, and someday, neither will I. Didn't have a Hunter Vanguard back then. What with Kaku's Swift River finally being declared dead after 2 years MIA and his dare nowhere to be found. Speaker said it was on the rest of us hunters to figure it out. That first night back, Andal and I were up late. Not a new thing. He drank, I drank, I got tanked. Or he got tanked, I'm a robot, and we made a pact. Dare issued and accepted. See, there was that opening on the Vanguard, Hunter slot. We both wanted Tannics. Only one would get the killing blow and the glory. The loser had to hang him up. And lock themselves away in the tower. Leave the lonely road to real dealers. We both laughed. Wow, I wish I could hear him laugh again. Just once. Funny how all the cool kids leave the party too soon.
Real.
Well, yeah, the boogeyman was real, you know?
Yeah, the boogeyman was real. That fallen boogeyman, the notorious Cayde-6 the Scarred.
Cayde-6 the Scarred. That's fun. We should have just moved on to the next one instead of me looking up Lush's story. Because that told that whole thing. But
put a little dirt under your pillow for the dirt man.
Yeah,
Bran, how dare you?
That was. You're definitely starting to see that Cayde's he was just kind of a lonely guy.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty lonely. He was stuck in that tower. I mean, he had Ikora to mess around with whenever.
Do you think his humor is the way it is because he formed it from Andal?
Probably. He probably in some way wants to still have a piece of him, so.
Yeah, just a bit forced.
Yeah. It makes sense. He does seem like the kind of person that likes to take on traits from the people that affected him.
Yeah.
He
True.
was pretty cool.
You're pretty cool.
You too, man. Yeah. Hey, kid. Oh, yeah. Hey, kid. Who is what now? Oh, RTL?
RTL's dying, right? Return to light.
RTL, yeah, Return to Light, yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's just another fancy way of saying final death.
Yep. Okay. All you, good sir.
All right. So, hey kid, I know I don't write to you very often, you know, but it's better than never. Ain't easy for me to find the words. I mean, it is. I find them, but I know they're not always the right ones. Too much flash, too much looking out for how I'm looking, not enough just telling it how it is. That's why I'm doing this, Ace. That's why you and me are having these words. Easier to say them than scrawl them. This way, now that I'm doing it, it feels more honest. If I'm being... feels more true. Thing is, and I'm sorry it's like this, but I can only talk to you in my mind. In my heart, this is how one-to-one works now. Father and son. Cayde and his firecracker Ace. What am I doing? Reality is, ain't no telling who I'm talking to. Hell, could be me, the me after me. Hi, me, looking good. Sorry you can't remember all you can't remember. That's just an exo's lot in life. Though, if you are me sitting on the other side, I gotta tell you, I never wanted this. You never wanted this. I made it real clear to the Big Z, to Ikora, Banshee, Amanda, my pal Jimmy down at the ramen spot, that if anyone ever finds that deep stone crypt thingy, I stop counting at 6. No higher. You hear me? No higher. Think there's just something about the number 7 that gives me the heebie-jeebies. Unlucky, overrated. I don't know, just a number with bad mojo in my book. So if you got a 7 in tow or above, someone's changed the game. Someone's not playing nice. Might want to do something about that. If you haven't listened to the earlier files, the start of this ramble, find them. Hear them. You might not want to take lessons from an unknown reflection, but trust me, whatever kind of man you are, you can be better. Also, there are journals. Don't call them a diary. A three-eyed gal with a preference for deep holes and nightmares always calls them diaries. Don't take cues from her, anyway. End of the day, new me, if that's you, you get to choose who and how you want to be. The hope is maybe I can guide you a bit, like the me before me did. And when you get to the part about the kid and the girl, my ace and my queen, they're yours too, by right, and because they are all yours, a gift. And you'll be the better for it. And if you don't feel that thing, that soft spot in the middle of all that circuitry, when you get to them, then if you are me, you aren't like me at all. And that means you're trouble. The good kind or the bad, impossible for me to know. All I can do is give you the tools to raise you right. That goes for you too, Ace, if you're listening. Hell, it goes for anyone. Strangers, old friends, new enemies. Learn from me. Be better than me. Because I'd really hate to think whoever you are is someone I wouldn't get along with. Yeah, he really did not. He was very adamant about no more resets, even if you find the crypt.
I think 7's a fun number for this, just because that's Bungie's number in general. She's like, nah, no more 7.
Nah, no more 7. Yeah, no Cayde-6. No Cayde-6. Oh my god.
Cayde-6. It's an unlucky number. All right.
That's so
We're
cool.
on to, you're cool. Good old Dwucky. Good old Dwucky with the raid.
No, Dwucky with the raid. And then Neptune's here as well. That's cool.
Neptune's here. Oh, Neptune is here. Oh, good. You guys are still on. I was afraid I missed the first podcast. Ah, no, it's all good. It's all good, Neptune. I know you're doing the recording, but ooh, hey, thanks. We here. We vibing. We're on to River next.
Yes, and that's all you, man.
A good one. My D&D character is loosely based off of Cayde. Waking up as 6. Loosely. That's why I don't have memory.
It's showtime.
Gotta let that bypass. I don't know why that came through, but here we are. Okay. Honor. It's tricky. Means different things to different folk. Different folks. Like your word. Well, your words. Your word? You give it, you keep it. Do that regardless of all the rest. And that's honor right there. And let me tell you, kid, honor matters. It's a weapon in on its own, a shield. Zavala knows, Ikora knows, Saladin and Shax, they probably know a little too much. All the best guardians know. People trust your word, they'll trust you, and trust, it's hard to come by and easy to lose. Give your word, keep your word, and if all else fails, you'll find you have friends to pick up the slack. You have friends there to pick up the slack. Even if you don't, you find yourself alone, odds stacked, final curtain, set to drop. At least you can go out knowing you did the right thing when it was asked. Now, don't get me wrong, the right thing, like honor, can be malleable, can be a malleable concept. It shifts and bends. I'm getting poetic here. Waxen warlock, we call it. Not my intent. But sometimes I can see the value in thinking. Sometimes I can see the value in their thinking. Their way with words. Ah, look at that. There's another lesson. Find value in another. I don't have much in common with the Ramrod Titan or the Floofy Warlock. But that's the key.
True that.
So true. It's
You need
important.
different perspectives to make it work.
It's the idea of camaraderie and your friends.
Exactly.
It's
You
still
can't
just-
all have the same perspective because then you lose things.
It's still Cayde at his core is nothing without his team. Even
Pretty
if
much.
he was by himself and wanted to be by himself, he needed those people to keep his head grounded, his head on.
Yeah, that's the best way
Yeah.
I'd put it. He definitely was a team-oriented thinker.
Hey, this
That's how he
Titan
got us on
wouldn't- not this
Dreadnought.
Titan. This hunter wouldn't be anywhere without his Titan.
This Titan wouldn't be anywhere without his hunter.
We definitely wouldn't have a podcast, that's for sure.
That's for damn sure. But yeah, let's see. The next piece is Showdown.
You getting the good ones.
Yeah, I know. What is it? Okay, so Showdown. Back to honor. Back to Andal. Andal was my brother, figuratively, but I find more often than not the family you unearth along the way is more real than the family you thought was the... Never mind. Andal was my brother. Period. Tannix was the four-armed murdering guardian hunter who... Yeah. Andal and I, we made a bet. Only bet ain't the right word, not among hunters. What we did meant more. We offered a dare. The dare. I to him, him to me. Kill Tannix or get chained to Vanguard duty. Hunt the hunter and come out on top or wear a leash. This was our honor, our word. The hunter dare dates back to nobody knows when. There are all kinds of stories about the first dare, but there's no way to discern the truth of a thing done who knows when by who knows whom. It was the first dare that time a hunter... Oh, and mind you, this was way before anyone ever imagined calling themselves hunters or titans or warlocks. This was Risen days.
Yeah,
The
this
Chosen
is-
weren't organizing back then. Yeah.
Yep.
No code and didn't get it, no matter how much their ghosts talked their ears off. Back when the first ones got their spark lit, they were just as likely to be self-involved tyrant as a decent human being. Ask me to tell you about the warlords sometime. Ha! Bunch of newly res tough guys misusing the light like a bunch of ignoramuses. Ignorami? Regardless, not a fan, but who is? Am I rambling? Anyway. The first challenge of honor between those who one day call themselves hunters, was it the Tuval Valley Jump, the Shade Runner Sprint, the Moonlit Light Draw, Kubasol's Last Stand, the Great Scrounge Hunt, the Lesser Scrounge Hunt? No one knows. I sure as heck don't. But which was first don't matter. They were all first. They were all the dare to set the table and inspire other dares. What matters is, once a dare was offered, if it was taken, it was took. It was on you. It was in you. Not metaphysically. I'm not talking warlock hocus pocus. I'm talking honor. Accepting the dare is giving your word. So Andal and I, we offered and accepted and doomed ourselves because we didn't take into account the depths of my arrogance. Seems my arrogance is where it always falls apart.
I need more lore on those dares.
Yeah, I would like that as well, honestly, because
I'm assuming the valley jump is they're jumping like a giant crevice, right?
Yeah, probably.
Shade Runner's not sure. Moonlight Draw, they're probably shooting each other.
Probably. If it's got draw in there, that would make sense.
Yeah. Just interesting there.
Yeah, I would really like to hear about more of the dares as well. I'd also just like to hear about more prominent titans apart from just Saint Zavala and Saladin and Shax.
I mean, those are technically the 4, right? Because wasn't... Oh, no, he was a hunter. The hunter was deleted, right?
Who was?
Pradith?
Oh, Pradith? No, it was... Pradith was the one that was left behind.
The one that was lost in time, right?
No, it was Cabr and...
And Cabr was the Titan, right?
Yeah, it was Cabr and Pradith, so the Titan and the Warlock. The Hunter was the one that came back alive.
Right.
Pahanin.
And Cabr was he was the one that was erased.
Yeah, except he became the... What's
The
it
shield.
called?
The
The
Aegis.
shield. Yeah, just... Yep.
Yeah, but, you know, that's why we don't hear from him.
Yeah.
He doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Nope.
He'd be gone. He'd be very gone.
Very gone. All right. Winner takes all.
Yep.
Taniks was a pain. Turns out that wasn't the real problem, though it was high on the list at the time. The real problem? The freak's still a pain. He ain't no guardian, but the dude's been dead, and not more times than I can track. Yeah. Died twice by my hand. Second time, I even looked to deliver some insurance. But he was hauled off by his goons before I could add more lead to the collection I'd deposited in his chest and neck and gut and head. But the second time don't matter. I mean, it does, sure, but the important bit here is our first go round. When Andal and I made our bet, that wasn't a bet, but really a dare. The dare. Did I end up reading the same one? No, I didn't. Okay.
I don't know.
That part sounded so identical, and I was like, hold on. That wasn't really a bet, but really a dare. The dare. We were eager and ready to track Taniks and hit him with some payback. Oh my god. We're ready to hit him with some payback. I had the good luck of finding Taniks first. Had the good luck to kill him too, so I thought. So we all thought. What followed was a party. Osiris even showed up. He and the speaker had sent Saint 14 after Taniks as well. And maybe Sainty's one hell of a titan, but we're hunters. No way we're losing the kill. Looking back, I wish maybe we had. Andal kept his word. Joined the Vanguard. I tried taking him out of it. We made the dare in a compromised state. Shiro and I had been roughed up. Neon was gone. Lush was broken. Emotions were high. Liquid was flowing. Andal wasn't buying it. Neither was I. Not really. The dare's the dare. To back out would have been a mark. Would have called Andal into question to every hunter out there. Even to me. I never would have admitted it to him, but he'd know. Things got a little weird between us once he joined the Vanguard. All my doing, and I missed him. Didn't like seeing one of the best rule breakers in the rule breakers and world walkers anyone had ever seen, bogged down with bureaucrats. But the weirdness passed. Brothers don't stay mad at brothers. That's just the way it is. As we settled into the new norm, the good times started to roll. They kept on rolling too. For a while anyway.
Yeah. The fruit of the dare.
See,
Handle got seeded in.
I kind of forgot that. And I guess that's just because of me forgetting that Taniks keeps coming back.
That they had a little falling out in between.
Yeah, the little falling out, but I also kind of forgot that it was technically Andal that killed Taniks first. It's the winner.
No, it is Cayde. So it's the winner was the one. So Cayde was the one that killed Taniks the first time.
Right.
And because Andal lost, he became Vanguard.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how it went down. And then, Andal's stuck in the tower and Cayde's off doing his outlandish rogueness as usual.
Doing as he does.
Yeah. All right. And then what's this next one? Bluff. There we go. All right. I don't play well with loss. I just don't. Something I tend to avoid actively. It's weird, but that's where my queen comes in. And before you make a reef joke or mention that witch and her witches, or her mopey little brother, don't. My queen is not that queen. My queen is love. My queen is my heart. My queen is hard to explain. She is my memory of love, my understanding of it. Only exists through her, but she's not here, she's long gone. So I cling to the feeling I get when imagining her, and when I do, I am oh so content. But it's a struggle. We lose so much in this life, and any life, all lives really. But this life, this last safe city, end of all things kind of life, even when we win, it seems like all we do is lose. Scratch that. I don't believe that. If there's one thing I'm not, it's a defeatist. I mean, I defeat. I definitely defeat. One might even say defeating things is my job. One of my jobs. One of many. What's not my job is pessimism. Just not my thing. I'm a high-octane optimist and nothing but hugs. Mostly. Not always. Always gets annoying, but mostly I'm the life of the party. Not that you could tell from all this woe is me soul bearing I've been laying on thick for, 11 entries now? 10? In fact, at this point, if you're still listening, you're a braver soul than I. But where was I? Oh yeah, optimism. I'm full of it. Amongst other things, if certain unnamed individuals are to be believed, but yeah, each new day we're here is one heck of a reward. Heck of a win. And we should own that. Enjoy it. Embrace it, but never take it for granted. Had a warlock friend who used to say, take it for granite, like The Rock. Like Granite. Smartest guy I've ever known. But maybe he wasn't, for granted. Almost as dumb as his catchphrases. Come on, Cayde, stay on target. Each new day, hell of a thing. Embrace it, enjoy it, but never forget, it's a hard life. And when friends fall, when brothers fade, when you're queen, when we lose the things that matter, well, a lot of people can use that. Own it, that pain, that loss. They find a way to motivate, to celebrate. For all my charms, seeing the good in the gone ain't one. And my queen helps me through that, because I believe she was something special. She was good. She had to be, and I do. So damn much. When the others I've lost along the way start to weigh me down, I think of her, and she just overwrites everything else. That's how strong her pull is. That's how big the hole she left is. Massive. It devours. She swallows all the other bad things. I'm not sure it's healthy the way I deal with loss, but it's my way. What works for me. And it makes me happy. Thinking of her. Makes me happy. and the loss fades away. Yeah.
Yeah. Rough. That's rough, buddy.
Yeah, that's rough, buddy.
Tim reminiscent. I wonder if we'll ever get to know if they were hypothetical or real.
Yeah, it really is sort of left up to the reader's interpretation. It seems like people mainly take the pessimistic route of, yeah, they probably weren't real. But there's a part of me that's like, maybe they were.
I mean,
Really, it's only in this lore book that you hear about his
life
idea.
in general.
Yeah, his life.
And it covers, I mean, they could have been real before he became an exo
Yeah.
situation. So, yeah. Crazy.
Pretty much. Well, you're on the last one, pal.
We're onto a bad beat, brother.
Indeed. This is where things all sort of fall apart, but in, like, a good way.
Yeah. Been trying too hard to give you a sense of what matters to me, but also to find a way to talk about the things that scare me. Thing, really, singular. And that thing is loss. Losing. I'm a poor loser, I admit it. I run from it, full speed. Others don't. Others accept it. But everything I said about my queen is true. She is my shield. She is also a lie. I don't know when I made her up. Or better, I don't know when I decided to believe in a life. I don't know, and I don't know when I decided to believe in a life I don't know and can never truly own. There we go. Was it this life? Was my rebirth as a guardian? Was it during this life? Was my rebirth as a guardian? Or the void of everything I was before that drove me to invent comfort possible, even likely, but I'm not sure. I do have flashes of memory of the life I had before I was a guardian, but that's all they are. Flashes. Quick flickers of people and places in my dreams, or in that space between a bullet and getting rezzed. I see a woman there, and she's all I've ever known. She's all I've ever known of a life long since gone. I feel love for her. Is that love a memory, or am I simply loving the memory? I've convinced myself of the former. I've concocted a truth to make myself whole. The kid, the woman, I do not know them. They are not real. But I wish I did. I wish they were. They're just the two best cards I could find up my sleeve when the odds were stacked against me. I made them real in my mind, in my heart. I fell in love with the idea of them, and I crafted a truth that allowed me to feel. In truth, it was selfish. When I came to for the first time, I felt so alone, broken. My ghost tried to comfort me, but this life felt hollow, so I ran. But the flashes, like daydreams, they promised something more, something other than suffering and war. So I clung to them, and I built my truth, and it made me a better man. Some would dispute the fact. Some would say a good man who lies to himself is good only because he hides from the truth. But I disagree. I think in this world, you need to find what is best in you and cling to it. That's what I did. I found what moved me and fought for it. Without Ace and without my queen to listen to me, to hear me, to see me, there's no telling who I would have become. But I know, And I know there's a chance it wouldn't have been very nice. So that's what I'm offering to you here. A chance. Look at my life. Look at the things I've said, the things I've done. See how the promise of a simpler life and true, pure love, even if it was all just a game, see how it drove me, directed me. Now go find your own. I know this confession isn't as clean as you may like, but then again, it's not a confession. It's a warning. Find the path to your best self and walk it. Because the alternative is a lonely road. Don't you ever forget it. Otherwise, I may just have to come back and kick your ass. See you later, pal. Cayde-6.
Damn.
Damn.
That's the end of the man they call Cayde.
That's the end of it.
Yep.
And that's what got it, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much that's at the end there. Like, there is a piece of that where he says flashes of memories, which, like, I do like that. He describes it that way of, like, that woman, I can't tell if it's a woman I loved or if it's a woman from my memories that I've associated love with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that he's associated as the queen.
Yes.
But,
And
like,
that is...
at the end of it, right? Cayde 1 through 4, or 1 through 5, if they carried those 2 cards that whole time, there's a reason they carried those 2 cards. Not just because they were up sleeve for gambling or whatever. Maybe they were. But some people, the sentimental type, not pointing any fingers here, keep things that remind them of people. It's me. I'm pointing fingers at myself. But
I love the people who have made my life feel whole.
yeah.
But yeah, and I mean that's really like the full backstory segment we wanted to do on Cayde. So that actually, the man they called Cayde was like perfect. That was the piece I was looking for about the better details of what went on with Tannix.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
But yeah, I think what we do here is we just finish up catching people up on Crow's journey, and then I think we're good.
Yeah.
And then we can do some Q&A if anybody has questions.
Yeah, outside of the one question we've got.
Indeed. So where were we? We left off at Season of the Lost. Crow had just gotten back his memories and is now working around that inner conflict of knowing the person who he was and the person he is currently becoming, and how he can either separate the two or choose to accept the fact that both can happen.
Yeah.
And so it was in Season of the Risen, where Crow was once again working with Lord Saladin and us truly, the Guardian, to hold off against the Lucent Hive invasion that had occurred with Savathun's recent resurrection under the Traveler. The Lucent Hive were attempting to bring the throne world out from the Ascendant Plane into physical reality via the Scarlet Keep, but we thwarted that plan and they were promptly dealt with. However, in the process, Crow started, with the conflicted feelings he had at the current moment, felt a little bit of sympathy for the hive that we were capturing and forcing into a sort of think tank torture chamber kind of thing, trying to read their minds and figure out their plans. And it was in that process that Crow had, the scion in charge of the think tank. He was just intending to undo it and ensure that he could kill the hive, is basically what he wanted to do. But in the process, he accidentally killed that scion, which was a very hard thing to happen at that time. Which resulted in, if you want to take it from there, Winter.
Where are we going from?
From there, we've got what happens with him and Saladin and Cayde.
Him and Saladin and Cayde. Are we pulling that up off of any lore piece in particular?
If you look up Season of the Risen, that should be... Let's see.
It's been a minute for you, boy.
Season of the Rid. Yeah. So what happens there? Oh gosh, there we go.
Why is this not pulling that up the way I want it to?
No. Bum, 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 bum. All I know.
Because Risen was before Haunted, right?
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna like. There we go. This is how I can better do this.
I might need you to take over Risen. Because I can't remember it.
That is all good.
Brightest potential.
Season of Plunder, Haunted, Witch Queen. Damn. Oh, they blended the two of them together. Oh, that's stupid.
Haunted and Risen, or?
Yeah, the Witch Queen. So the Witch Queen era is Season of Risen.
Got you.
That's why there's no. Oh, that's why there's no Season of the Hunt either, because it's blended with Beyond Light. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so Witch Queen, we're looking at. Gosh, where is it? I don't want lore books, I want transmissions.
Memories. Transcripts?
Yeah, I'm trying to look for the transcripts because it's there we go. Now I'm looking at the thing I want. View the Witch Queen. There we go. View the Witch Queen archive. That is what I wanted. Transcripts. Here we go.
Which one are you looking at?
Or is it interactions?
Six interaction.
No, that's not what I want. Transcripts. Did they not have any of the Season of the Risen stuff in here? Really?
Maybe not.
That would really suck.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me keep looking.
Beyond Light, Season of the Haunted. Yeah, I don't see Season of Risen. That's tough. Well, anyways, I remember how it went. So it was basically that, Oh, wait. Winter stepped away. I'll wait.
I was gonna say you're good because I'm still technically wearing my headset.
Oh, gotcha. Well, on that note, so basically what ends up happening is, Saladin, before the Scion is killed, gives Crow that whole spiel about that girl he met in that village that one time. Do you remember that?
Yes.
How he met her, she was stealing bread, and then he let her go. And how then years later she sees that same girl, but now she's like a leader of a band of thieves, and she is the result of his mercy, but also the reason why all of those villagers are dead, and that band of thieves is operating in that part of the woods. And so then he puts an end to her, and then he realizes at that moment that mercy cannot come at the cost of their victims.
Nope.
So that is exactly the lesson he was trying to put onto Crow, which he did not understand and had to learn the hard way.
Very much so.
That resulted in mercy of Hive, results in the Scion becoming a victim of that mercy. And so that resulted in Cayde being like, "You've killed, you've killed one of my chief officers. I hope you are ready to pay for this." Da da da.
Mm-hmm.
And then, effectively, Saladin steps forward and says, "I will, a life for a life. I will operate on your war council, and I will act as his debt paid."
Good on Saladin, though, ultimately.
Yeah. Epic gamer.
Epic gamer moment.
Indeed. And then we have, let me see. In Seraph, we don't really have any crow. In that, we don't have a crow. Haunted, we have him reconciling with Uldren, which
And
is really cool.
We have the, if we want to cover it, the Trespasser lore.
Yes, we can cover the Trespasser lore, because that's good. Actually, if you want to pull that up, Winter, you can read that off.
Yeah, I can do that. Big one, big one, big one, big one. Okay. So, Trespasser. You are not welcome. It kills me to say it, but I'm really impressed, the voice says, an echo reverberating from the past. Ikora does her best to keep focus, to push past a breath of resurging anguish, but a nightmare like this refuses to be easily ignored. It stands at her side, wearing her friend's face, horn and all, ribboned edges of its cloak swaying beside the hand cannon holstered at his hip. It speaks with a voice, but its words are false and dripping with poison. She forces herself inward, climbing the steps of the Leviathan's entrance. Walking in uninvited is usually my whole thing. It continues as it flashes beside her. Unless you've started taking after me. You are nothing more than a memory, Ikora replies, without looking at it. You are not him. Can't argue with that logic, it says, flashing a smile. After all, he's dead. Ikora flinches as the nightmare circles around, hovering just over her shoulder. Thanks to Zavala, you, and most of all, thanks to Uldren Sov. Ikora's brow furrows, and she clenches her fist, continuing her ascent. He shot me with my own gun, the nightmare passes. Do you remember that? Ikora picks up her pace. Still, the nightmare follows. I mean, you must, right? It asks. What was it you promised to do? Mount his head on his precious throne? That was some real big talk, Ikora. But instead of doing that, you welcome that scumbag to the tower with open arms. So I'm thinking, either your memories are a little mixed up, or maybe you really haven't, or maybe you really have forgot what that murderer did to me. Crow is not Uldren, Ikora seethes. The nightmare smirks. Right, just like I'm not Cayde. Ikora spins on her heel, chest heaving, void light flaring in her fist with deep within her eyes. But there is nothing behind her, only an emptiness of space. Ikora? Eris' voice crackles over the comms. Perhaps it should be best for you to return. Ikora breathes deeply, palms flat at her side. She gives the Leviathan doors one long final look before turning back. And I think this is this lore here, like if people haven't read it, I think this is what people feel, or if they have read it, this is how they feel like the interaction with Cayde should have gone. Yeah,
and honestly, no, he's not the vindictive type. He wouldn't hold anything against anyone.
Out of all Guardians, like, he's the one that would, like, seeing Uldren with a ghost changes everything, because Cayde of all Guardians knows the past is not who he is now.
Exactly.
So,
and I mean, yeah, it's exactly that. It's like, if you are not a fan of Crow's story arc and you are a fan of Cayde's, then you do not know Crow's story arc.
And you don't know Cayde.
Yeah.
Because they're parallels, ultimately.
They are.
The two of them. So, we just got to see, unlike Cayde, where we didn't get to experience his bad parts except for what he told us, we saw that out of Crow.
Yeah.
So.
And with Crow, it really is a matter of, like, just coming to terms with being his own person and not being dependent on the people that work with him.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, what is it? And his relationship gets better with Mara again, and he starts to accept her as a sister, which is nice because we see that as we go into Lightfall, especially this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk a little about Haunted. Like with him, it all really folded into his nightmare of Uldren and like coming to terms with Uldren
Mm-hmm.
being a part of him, and it'll always technically be a part of him, but it's not him anymore.
Yeah.
And having to let that feeling of guilt remain, but know that it wasn't his fault alone.
Mm-hmm.
It is pretty interesting to sort of see the character dilemma that comes up with Crow in Haunted. But yeah, and then as Haunted passes, you know, the year goes past, and then, you know, Lightfall comes around.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to Season of Defiance, where Crow is just so beefy.
He is just a legend at that point.
He's just so beefy.
He's just like that. Bungie was like, "We're gonna make you love this man." I loved him
Yeah.
before, but that's besides the point.
Pretty much. Because what is it? And then, oh, we should also mention this, especially because it is something we have not brought up yet.
The Savathun thing.
We did bring up Savathun, but I was talking about Amanda.
Oh yeah.
Amanda was close to Cayde, and Amanda was close to Crow.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very hard for her to deal with what she now knows, now that he knows who he is or who he was, and now that she knows who he was. Their relationship was really hurt by that. Because she remembers Cayde very well, and he was the person that, like, used to be the person that ended him. So it's kind of hard for her to have a full relationship with him. But then that's kind of what we see in Season of Defiance is Crow is really trying his best to reach out to her and be like, I'm not that man anymore. Like, I'm trying to be better. I am different. And she's just still trying to come to terms with, like, separating Crow from Uldren.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we lose Amanda in Season of Defiance, which is very sad.
I think a good thing to like bring up with the idea of Crow being like wanting to be better than Uldren.
Yeah.
Is there was the line from Glint that was essentially Glint saying that Crow was trying to be us, trying to copy us.
Yeah.
So we're kind of his like eye opener on how he should be, and he then just goes about the trying to befriend everyone that we've been friends with, which leads him down that crazy path of essentially heartbreak.
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
And it was heartbreak on both halves. Like, obviously, Crow had feelings for Amanda. They ain't no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Roughly the same age. Big quotations on roughly.
Roughly.
I was a guardian, but Crow was there in the collapse, so...
Not only Crow, but also Uldren was kind of like, I don't know, like 200 years old, but he looked like he was 20,
yeah,
25 or something.
Yeah. He's... Yeah. So there's just that whole moment. I'll never forget that when we got that transmission from Season of the Haunted after he learns about his past and Amanda yelling at him.
Yeah.
Just the big, because I felt that way at one point in time.
Like, how long did you know? I remember that part, that she was like yelling at him, like, how long did you know?
Yeah. That was rough.
That was pretty rough. But then, yeah, during Lightfall we had Defiance and then Amanda's death, which was very sad. Which, honestly, I'm more surprised the turn they took with, and here's the thing, people can argue about it. I think Amanda's death was not just we need a character to die, Amanda, boom. No, there was a lot of lead up to her being in a very similar situation of write-up, in the same sense that Cayde was.
Yeah.
Amanda kept consistently putting herself in the fight instead of putting herself in as support. And that's exactly what happened during Season of Defiance. She put herself too far into the fight, in a fight that no mortal person should take part in.
Yep.
And it cost her.
Big time.
But she still did it with honor. She still did it for the people of the city. So she is as worthy as anybody else. And that's what happened during Defiance. And then, did we have any Crow in Season of the Deep? I don't think we did.
No. We actually didn't get more Crow until Wish.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, and then there was Wish, which was very much sort of the most recent installment in lore, and probably our last topic for the day.
Yeah.
Was pretty much Crow's finally fully mending his relationship with Mara, I think is the best way to put it. I find like it's like Mara has changed as a person, and Uldren has changed from Uldren to Crow, a completely new person. So it's kind of a way for them to wipe the toxicity of their old relationship away and move on to a healthier connection between the two of them. And to sort of talk about all the troubles that Riven has caused them, including the Dreaming City.
Very much.
And yeah, I think we just about covered everything.
And
Damn.
Now we're up to the cutscene of the fantastic moment of
the parallel versus Crow.
Crow goes into the Pale Heart. Is that what the Traveler is? Is the Pale Heart?
Yeah, the Pale Heart. The Pale Heart is the metaphysical interior of the Traveler, from what I understand.
So Crow goes into the Pale Heart, and then we waited a ridiculously long time. If you played along the story every week, there was so much, like, because it's been how many weeks since the last seasonal mission?
Gosh, it was February.
6 weeks after the launch was when it ends. So yeah, February. It's been 3 months.
Yep.
And we finally got more, and it could have also I mean, they could have waited. That could have been the starting scene to Final Shape. But we got it, and we get the Crow versus Cayde moment, and them being them. I do have issues with how Crow handles Hawkmoon, but that's besides the point.
I think all of us kind of raised an eyebrow when he started fan firing Hawkmoon.
Brother,
But
I'm sorry, that's not last word, dude.
Cool. Bro, this ain't last word. You watch what you're shooting.
But so
oh wait, or is it that he's firing OG Hawkmoon? You know what I mean? Like one of those.
That's the next thing too.
Hard.
The next thing though too is because obviously they're going to give us the Hawkmoon mission again as an exotic mission.
Yeah, I hope so. And please, Bungie, if you are listening, which you probably aren't, let it be craftable and let it have some decent PvE perks, please.
Which then allows it to be more fan-fired, yeah?
Indeed.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Like, dude, if I could have rapid hit on my Hawkmoon, please.
Perpetual motion.
Perpetual motion on a
Headseeker?
Hawkmoon wouldn't be bad either. Headseeker on a Hawkmoon should never exist because it's a single fire weapon.
It's gonna
How
exist.
would that work? How would that work? You would just go body shot, headshot.
Bait and switch on an SMG, Sparky.
Bait and switch on Hawkmoon. We need bait and switch on Hawkmoon. The highest primary DPS weapon in the game.
So true, so true. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully we will see you next week for sure. If you're tuning into stream today, please go subscribe to the YouTube channel, Beyond the Tower podcast. I did not create a link for that yet. I screwed up on that end. But we also have a Twitter or X or whatever it's called, and an Instagram now, where I'll be going through and trying to get some moments from these and posting them to, do the thing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time beyond the tower.